Wind howled through the bare trees like the sigh of some invisible being wandering the night. The clock read 1:13 a.m. Nathan, a middle-aged taxi driver, sat in his car at an abandoned gas station on the outskirts of Glenhurst. He had just finished his last cigarette and was about to head home when the dispatch screen lit up. "Pickup request, Timber Hollow Crossroads, near the Western Forest." Nathan frowned. That was a place he rarely visited. The roads were rugged dirt tracks, unlit and surrounded by dense forest. A vague memory of an accident there last year suddenly resurfaced. A car veered off the road and no bodies were ever found. But he shook it off. Probably just rumors. He tapped Accept Ride and started the engine. As the silver taxi turned onto the desolate dirt path, its headlights pierced the thick fog like beams of light through milk. The air felt heavy and still, so silent that the engine's hum echoed like the growl of some strange beast. Suddenly, the headlights caught a figure standing motionless in the middle of the road, a long coat draped over them, hat pulled low, face obscured by shadows. Nathan braked hard. "Are you the one who called for a ride?" The figure gave a slight nod, said nothing, and silently opened the back door and slid in. The movement was smooth, soundless, almost like gliding. Nathan glanced in the rearview mirror and froze. The mirror reflected only an empty seat. He turned his head. The figure was still there, head bowed. The mirror didn't reflect them. "Where are you headed?" he asked, his voice trembling slightly. "Into the forest," came the reply, a deep, raspy voice like wind whistling through an old crack. Nathan took a deep breath, shifted gears, and tried to ignore the cold chill crawling up his spine. The taxi crept along the red dirt road leading into Timber Hollow Forest. The fog curled around the vehicle like thick ribbons, choking the headlights so they barely lit more than a few feet ahead. Nathan gripped the wheel tightly. The air inside the cab was heavy, suffocatingly quiet. The passenger behind him remained silent, head bowed, hands resting on their knees. No cough, no breath, no sound of movement, as if they didn't truly exist. A sense of unease began to creep into Nathan's mind. He glanced at the rearview mirror again. Still just the empty seat. That couldn't be. It wasn't a trick of the light. He tried to break the silence. "Excuse me. Can you tell me the exact destination?" The pause that followed was unnervingly long. Then the raspy voice, like it came from behind a heavy curtain. "Keep going. You'll know when we arrive." A chill ran down Nathan's spine. His instincts screamed at him to turn around, refuse this ride. But curiosity, or something deeper, darker, kept him going. Suddenly, the headlights flickered. The trees grew denser, like skeletal arms reaching out to grope at the car. From the radio, which had been off, came a burst of static. Then a garbled whisper. You see it too." Nathan jumped. He shut off the radio, but the whispering continued, as if it came from inside the car. Sweat beaded on his forehead. He looked back again. The passenger sat still, but their head had lifted slightly, revealing part of a cheek, ghostly pale, like candle wax. He couldn't take it anymore. Nathan pressed the dashcam button, the one mounted just above the front windshield. The small screen showed the interior of the cab. He looked closely. On the screen, the back seat was completely empty, but he could feel the presence behind him. He swallowed hard. The road narrowed. The tires crunched over gravel, making the taxi vibrate slightly. The forest was now so thick the sky had vanished. Only pitch black remained. Then, whoosh, a shadow darted across the hood. Nathan hit the brakes. For the first time, the passenger spoke with emotion. "Don't stop." Nathan whipped his head around. The back seat was empty. The door was still shut. Panic flooded him. He checked the dash cam, still showing an empty cab. The taxi now felt like a metal coffin adrift in a warped dimension. Reality itself seemed distorted. The interior lights flickered once, twice, and when they steadied, the passenger had raised their head fully, sunken black eyes like bottomless pits, skin pale as a corpse, lips purplish, whispering, "We're almost there." The taxi veered deeper into the forest, where even the headlights seemed to be swallowed whole by the suffocating darkness. Nathan felt his heart pounding like it might burst from his chest, every breath pulling ice into his lungs. The passenger said nothing more. The silence was so deep Nathan could hear the ticking of the dashboard clock counting each second, like the breath of death inching closer. He looked into the rearview mirror again, and once more saw only emptiness. His eyes widened, sweat pouring down his face. Why don't you appear in the mirror?" Nathan whispered, voice quivering on the verge of collapse. The passenger turned to look at him. Those black, endless eyes pierced every corner of Nathan's soul, freezing him in place. "Because I do not belong to this world," came the whisper, haunting as a wind from beyond the grave. It felt like invisible hands tightened around his neck, squeezing every breath out. The road twisted more and more, and the trees grew so dense and dark, it felt like they were devouring the car. Suddenly, the car stopped at a desolate fork in the woods. The passenger said nothing, simply opened the door and stepped out into the icy night. "Where is this place?" Nathan asked hoarsely. The figure turned and looked at him, eyes like pits absorbing light. "This is the boundary between life and death. Your ride ends here." Before Nathan could react, the back door slammed open. A freezing wind rushed inside, carrying the scent of damp earth and decaying grass. The passenger vanished into the darkness like a ghost without a trace. Nathan sat frozen, heart racing, unable to tear his eyes from the mirror. Then he realized something terrifying. The passenger had never appeared in the reflection, yet their horrifying presence lingered. His hand trembled as he opened the door and stepped onto the icy ground. Deep in the woods lay a narrow path, dark and foreboding, like it led to another world. Nathan turned to head back to the car, but a whisper came from within. "You cannot leave. It's time you became part of the forest." The words struck like a curse, stopping him cold, the chills seeping into every cell. Suddenly, the taxi shook violently. The headlights blinked rapidly, the engine howled, and then went silent. On the dash cam, the image of the passenger distorted, then vanished completely. Nathan turned and bolted into the woods, but the darkness was thick and consuming. He shouted for the passenger. Only echoes answered. When everything fell into total silence, Nathan felt it. Something was watching him from within the endless dark. Nathan ran as fast as he could into the forest, each step feeling as if it were being pulled deeper into an invisible web of darkness that surrounded him. The snapping of twigs beneath his feet, the rustling of dry leaves, and his own frantic breathing all merged into a chilling symphony of the night. He didn't dare look back, only focused on finding a way out. But every time he glanced behind him, the darkness seemed to grow thicker, heavier, as if it were trying to swallow him whole. Panic gripped him, dragging on endlessly. Nathan felt as though he were trapped in a maze with no exit. His vision began to blur with tears and sweat. He tried to scream for help, but the sound caught in his throat. Only a faint, broken gasp escaped. In that moment of utter despair, he remembered the whisper from the back seat of the taxi. "You can't leave anymore. It's time for you to become part of the forest." Those words echoed like a curse. Nathan collapsed to his knees, his trembling hands bracing against the rough bark of an ancient tree. Cold sweat soaked through his shirt. Suddenly, soft laughter echoed around him. A chilling, distorted sound that didn't belong to this world. Nathan looked around. There was no one, only darkness, and the haunting, inhuman laughter growing louder. The laughter lingered, slowly morphing into a faint, sorrowful sigh. Nathan felt a cold breeze sweep across his neck, like an icy hand from beyond the grave brushing against his skin. He collapsed completely, helpless, His vision blurred further, his breathing grew weaker, while that eerie laughter echoed endlessly in the void. A few days later, the taxi was discovered, motionless on the roadside near the edge of the forest. Its headlights still shone, the engine was warm, but not a soul was inside. The dash cam had recorded everything. Yet in the rear-view mirror, the mysterious passenger had left no reflection. All efforts to find Nathan ended in failure. People say the Timber Hollow forest swallowed him, along with that enigmatic passenger. In the days following the discovery of the abandoned taxi, police and Nathan's loved ones never stopped searching, clinging to the hope that a miracle might occur. But everything seemed frozen in the darkness of Timber Hollow Forest. The car remained where it was, untouched. No one dared to move it. The headlights were still on, glowing with an eerie intensity, like a ghostly lighthouse deep within the gloomy woods. The engine was still warm, as if it had only just been shut off moments ago. The dash cam recorded everything inside the cabin with perfect clarity. But the strangest part was this. In the rearview mirror, there was no reflection of the passenger in the back seat. Not once. Not at all. Experts tried to decode the footage but found no logical explanation. Some speculated it was a supernatural phenomenon. Others believed it was a trap, a rift between worlds. Yet, there was one detail almost everyone overlooked. In the video, every time the passenger turned to look at Nathan, his face appeared distorted, as if torn apart between space and time. Some believe that the passenger wasn't human at all, but a being from another dimension, one who brought with it a curse that dragged Nathan into its own realm. Since that night, Nathan has never been seen again. Only chilling rumors remain of a taxi's lights flickering in the woods at night before vanishing like a phantom. Nathan's final taxi ride wasn't just an ordinary trip, it was a gateway. An opening into a hidden world where the line between life and death blurs, where invisible shadows silently stalk those who dare to trespass. Would you dare step into that taxi when night falls and the darkness surrounds you?